Hello and welcome back to the extreme run of Cold Fear. Oh boy, there's quite a few deaths in this one. Right, we're just gonna get things cracking on here. We've got a couple of things we can talk about this time. Mostly we're gonna talk about the ship, but we're gonna talk about a few sort of external things from that. Now let's start with the ship. The Eastern Spirit, we don't really know all that much if we haven't been reading the documentation. I mean, all that we know is that it's just basically a Russian whaling ship, and it's for some reason got some very strange cargo going on, and it's we don't really know what this sort of the deal is with that, but we'll kind of go into what the purpose of the ship is in just a moment. What I'm doing here in the video is that I've decided, yeah, you know what, I'm going to try going downstairs because that's a good idea. I think I can get that way, and then realise, no, I can't. I'm going to have to head all the way back up. And, yep, because of that, I end up dying for all my troubles. Right, so yes, the ship is, as I said, a whaling ship. Now, the purpose of this, I mean, we already know about the oil rig, and that's where we're heading to. And I'm assuming, as usual, that you've already watched the normal video, that we're heading towards the oil rig after this. And we were actually on our way back from the oil rig. And the reason that those little chamber capsule things were, oh, actually, hold on. There's a guy here. He manages, I think it's already happening. He manages to kill me through the railing. Come on. There we go. Right, well, that took a bit too long. Yes, but we're on our way from the oil rig, and the reason that the capsule things in the cold chambers are empty is because they already dropped off the cargo, which happened to be people. Now, from reading the documentation and stuff, this ship was its sole existence is the transportation of subjects to and from, well, mostly to the oil rig. There seems to be an instance of from, because we had that guy in the sort of the capsule-y thing, the guy, I had to do the sort of the technical wizardry to actually be able to look at him. He appears to be coming from. I don't know where he's going. I don't know why he's there. He may be the source of all of this. I'm not sure off the top of my head. There is kind of something that comes up later on that may explain it, but I mean, that's kind of the only oddity in the entire ship is that. That's the only thing remaining. And I think maybe they realised that and decided to cover over the actual guy in the ship and just leave it there as an object in the room. Mostly just for gameplay purposes, being a bit of cover for that chap to hide behind when they had to kill him. But in terms of actually being part of the ship that we can kind of explain away, it's very difficult to. So I'm not really sure about that. Yeah, all the chambers and stuff, they're empty because we've dropped off new test subjects, as presumably anyway, at the oil rig. And now we're on our way back to, I guess, the Russian mainland. Now, what it kind of also suggests is that this ship has now been it's been outfitted in order to carry the subjects. For some reason it says now because of the modifications that were made to the ship, it can only hunt orca-sized whales. So I'm guessing it's still doing the whaling stuff just as a cover. That's why they've got the orca in there. It's not really because they actually do hunt any whales. It's just, you know, they catch one and then chuck it in there, but they're actually worrying about the transportation of stuff to the oil rig and back. And as for the exocells being at the whale, that seems to be because the exocells are drawn towards large masses of protein, and that's what the orca is. It's sensed that there's a big lump of food there and just sort of moseyed on towards it and jumped inside. So anyway, more of the ship. It's been modified to obviously carry all of these things, but the documentation also suggests that it's been modified to be a mobile research laboratory. And those initial rooms that we saw that the concept art for the cages with the animals and stuff inside, I think those were meant to be the areas where sort of the research and stuff was done. It doesn't really look particularly fancy. If anything, it just looks like a dissection table, not really much going on. So as far as being kitted out as a mobile research laboratory, it's kind of sucked balls compared to what we see later on anyway. I mean, it's a lot more fancy, I guess, than the stuff on this ship. But yeah, that kind of sums up the Eastern Spirit anyway. I mean, the people that we've got, what's happened is that we've just left the oil rig, and Captain Lubinsky is obviously, he just captains the ship, he's not really all that important. But it's Yusupov who's the guy in charge, and he's taken Anna out of the oil rig because her dad's kind of acting up a little bit. So he's like, okay, I'm going to take your daughter with me, and if you don't fucking calm down, we'll just have to see what happens to her. And she just becomes like a force unto herself, and he gets fed up with her and locks her away, and that's how things kind of end up when, I guess, when stuff's, where the shit kind of hits the fan, because Anna doesn't really know what's going on, or at least she doesn't let on that she knows what's going on. That's actually a really odd point that this is making me realise, is that Anna doesn't appear to have any comment on any of this whatsoever. She doesn't appear to realise that there are exocells. Tom doesn't even mention it, and it's a little bizarre when you think of it. But yeah, in terms of this, I'm still steadily dying. Minute Fs, as I said. But we've kind of gone over the vast majority of what these things were for. We're done with it now. We were going back to the mainland. Some shit happened and everything's all fucked up. Part of that was obviously that we're in the storm, but I think all this crap would have happened anyway, regardless of whether or not we got in this storm. The storm just helped to kind of isolate us. That also sort of brings into question Bennett as well. The thing about him is that whenever we turned up here, or whenever we saw the introduction cutscene, those guys from the CIA landed in their helicopter and got torn up by some massive thing that we haven't seen. So I'm guessing maybe that's what's tearing up the ship and stopping us from going through doors? I guess so. Maybe we'll find out what that is later on. And, I mean, it didn't come up. I mean, we're done with the ship and it didn't come up, so maybe that's the thing that was killing us whenever we killed Anna. I guess that makes sense, because there's nothing else. I mean, it doesn't really have a shape of anything. It could be, I mean, I think that's kind of the point, is that it's there to just be like, haha, something scary come out of the dark and it grew at you and some shit. Yeah, anyway, the thing about, it kind of sort of draws Bennett into question a little bit, because he's already said that he knows about the oil rig that we're going to. He clearly knows about the ship and what it's for, and he's not telling us a fucking thing. He's just letting all this crap go on around us and saying, right, go here and do this, and we're totally a pawn at his fucking, to be used at his expense, and it's a little bit aggravating, mostly because I want to say that we're in the dark, but we're really not. We're not in the dark at all. Because if you've been reading documentation, you already know what the fuck's going on anyway. But I've been trying to avoid that sort of thing. So anyway, what I do here is I go through this door and I don't realise that I've just run over an exocell and it kills me in a split second. Because I decided to go back up to the top of the deck and go down the other doorway because I thought it was like a shortcut or something, and I totally forgot to kill an exocell. And we ran out the door, and on top of it, go me. So yeah. So Bennett, yes, he's got us doing his dirty work. We'll find out obviously more about that later on as we get further on into the game. But for the moment, he's just kind of not really letting us in on what's happening. We're figuring it all out on our own, simply by virtue of the things that are happening around us, and mostly by the documentation. When we're certain, Hansen's certainly not reading it and telling Bennett any of this stuff. If anything, it might be the case that we actually know more than Bennett does. And I'd love for Tom just to say that go fuck yourself, I'll do what the fuck I want to, which is kind of what he's doing anyway. He's being a complete asshole to Bennett, but to be fair, Bennett's being a bit of a dick to him as well. He's just keeping everything away from him. What I'm looking at there. Yes, another thing to talk about that came up while I was doing the sort of doing the concept art stuff for this particular video. It's how awesome Google image search is. I mean, I've been using TinEye for quite a while, just for sort of tracking down locations for specific images and finding Google image search is seeing that poster that was on the wall, the Alexander Rodchenko poster. I dropped that into the Google image search, and it didn't give me any links to any pages with the image on it. It just said, do you mean, and then the name of the artist, and then a Wikipedia article for that artist. And I went, well, who the fuck do I care who this guy is? I just want to know where the picture came from. And as it turns out, that's the artist, and it told me everything I needed to know about him. And dropping in the cover of that book in as well, it was just like, wow, really? This is Alexander as well. It just, I can't praise that image search engine enough, because it's something that everyone's needed for at some point. or another, and it's just happened to come along at a really good time, and it actually gave me a lot of information, and really it's something that made me more interested in something that's happened in the game, because it's just said that yeah, it's one of the artists or designers or whatever in the game have put something in here that they obviously are a fan of, and everybody would have missed. And I mean, if I have no sort of design background in that sense, I mean, so I wouldn't be able to tell you what particular artist did what, but to find out that some guys said, yeah, I really like this guy, dropped a poster into the game, even though they sort of blacked out necessary bits, I guess, in the text. It's interesting that they did that and got away with it too, because that's quite a famous picture, apparently. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't know who did it, but apparently it's quite famous. One other little kind of thing about that is that they left a little watermark at the bottom right of the picture too. So I mean the original doesn't have it, so they've clearly copied it from some website. They've just literally downloaded it and chucked it into the game, and just made the modifications of blanking out those particular parts. And then the same thing happens for that picture of the sailors that we saw. It has like a scribbling on it that says P.O. Smith, which is the name of the sailor who was on that particular ship. The website I was talking about that had information about that image and sort of the Russian Expeditionary Force. It was the guy's, I think it was his son, maybe it was his grandson, had all these pictures that his dad had sort of written on and stuff, and just completely built this website about his dad and all the stuff he did when he was in the Navy, and that was just one of the images. So they clearly just went, okay, let's see, image search for sailors, and then they got that picture, went, yeah, that looks old-timey enough, dirtied it up a little bit, and then chucked it in the game. This is kind of underhanded. I mean, they seem to have, and I wouldn't say gone out of the way, but they've effort elsewhere, but when it comes down to those little details, they've just been kind of half-arsed and not really made the effort, I guess. I mean, back then, I don't think they probably realised that, yeah, someday some wanker's going to put this image into an image source and then they're going to find out where it came from and he's going to start taking a piss. I don't think really they gave a fuck, because the images are royalty free, so I think they're royalty free. I guess so. I had made it through the cargo room here, and I was hoping that I would at least hint that I made it through without any troubles whatsoever, but I did have a couple of deaths here. You can see that it's kind of worn me down, and I'm now taking it very, very slowly. Except we speed it up. Let's go.
Okay, I found the captain. He's a
Corpsicle.
Anyone got
the way he said, I mean, there's no lead in for that. You come through the door and then he's bam right into the punchline. It's really, it isn't quite timed great. If they waited until he walked up to the captain a little bit, then that would have been better. But I think they probably would have had problems with that, because if they get too close to the captain and then try to pick up the key or whatever, then I guess the bad guys would have stood up and then set off the set them off while he was in the middle of a conversation. So I guess technically it makes some sense, but it doesn't quite work. As for the joke itself, fucking Tom Hansen, Jesus Christ, what an asshole for saying that sort of thing. Ah, take that. That's my way of getting around this. Already you saw me getting killed by, and I was not pleased by that one bit. But we got him. It's very rare that the spear gun actually has any kind of use whatsoever, but as you've seen, it helps when you know in advance exactly when you're going to need it, and that was one of them. So this time I'm going to just go out this door, because ultimately it is a lot faster than going out the other way.
Listen, Hanson, I've got some bad news for you.
Blah, 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 blah. Skip, skip, skip. I'm going to move on. Coming up here, this part, it's not as difficult as I don't know, as you might think. It's really, I mean, there's a lot of guys there, but there's also a lot of obstacles, and as long as you stay away from everyone, well, there we go, finally. As long as you stay away from everyone, then it's really not that much of a problem. Because you just sort of, obviously you have to take out the barrels first, and a good spread on the shotgun will just delay everyone long enough to kill everything. There you go, easy. What I really want to do is to shotgun the guy who climbs over the railing here and knock him off the railing, but it never works. It just automatically jumps him on the other side of the railing and just sort of ruins the whole thing. It would be nice if you could do that. That would be pretty cool. Yep. See that these swipe things are still getting the best of me. I'm starting to learn. I'm starting to stay away. Ah, fuck. Yeah. Okay. Only one more guy to go. You can see one last thing before I forget is sometimes Tom raises his arm and holds it over his face. That is triggered whenever you are running into rain or it's blowing in your face, and it's one thing that they kind of scripted into the game. But yeah, we're done here. See you in the oil rig. Shut up, Anna. Yeah, see you next time.